generator, and third is uninterrupted power supply, UPS. That means battery backup. Now the UPSs are different kinds, but I will not go into the detail, the online UPS, offline UPS. That may not be that important from our angle as a medicals, but what is really required, that you must have uninterrupted power supply for two cases. One is if you have any electronic equipment, that must be on UPS, which has got a component of the computer. Like in the domestic use, you buy a computer, you always like to have a UPS, so that there is no loss of data, and secondly, there is no damage to the computer. Even if you have an inverter in your house, still you will like to have UPS because of the safety to the equipment. So this is also required for all your life-saving equipment. Now this is the three part, that is, one is normal electricity, second is the generator, and third is uninterrupted power supply. Now there is a difference. Somebody may say, what is the difference between inverter and UPS? Inverter is also one kind of uninterrupted power supply, but does not give us that clean current. There are still spikes between the electricity switched off and inverter takes on. There is some small spikes which are eliminated in UPS because the current is passing through the batteries and it is online, the UPS, and that is what is the electricity part. Second is the light. When we talk of a light, now lights are of two. The earlier days light, if you find, are incandescent filament of light, earlier days. Now those are the normal bulbs which gave more heat than the light itself. So these are the incandescent lights which are no more in vogue because they produce more heat, more requirement of air conditioning load, and also the second part of that is it does not give us enough light, and it is energy bill is very, very costly. In fact, nowadays it is replaced by the cold light. Cold lights are xenon light, halogen light, like CFL, etc., which has come into that category. Now these cold lights have revolutionized the treatment and as also the diagnostic equipment, and that is how you find most of these endoscopes have some light source in front and are helpful in diagnosing and treating these patients because of these. Cold light does not injure the tissue. So this is one of the important aspects. In fact, there is a movement now by the government that they want to replace most of these incandescent light so that there is no shortage of energy. Just to give you an example, in Jaslok Hospital, this is a study which was done 18 years back. They had a electricity consumption bill was 1 crore per year. And when they had invited government agencies, there are lots of experts went there and they brought certain changes, and that has brought down to the bill is up to 60 lakh per year. In fact, it has been told that if you adopt all these scientific knowledge right at the timing of planning, construction or renovations of your hospital, the electricity bill can be reduced considerably. You find that we have adopted many things from the Western culture, like you have a country which has full of light, being a tropical country, but we still draw a heavy curtain and then switch on the light. Probably that thing is more so when you go to UK and France, you find the day is 14 to 18 hours. So people require those particular curtains, but we are still following that. So this is the second part which we must see and have replacement of such and such a thing. The third thing is to reduce the consumption. There are buildings called now intelligent building, semi-intelligent building. I will not go into details what are the intelligent building and semi-intelligent building, but what is really important is you may adopt certain sensors, etc. Like you have in a hotel. Moment you go out, your key is not in the socket, the whole lights go off. You find most of these hospitals day and night, some of the lights are on. So this is another aspect which has to be seen. The other very important aspect is the air conditioning in the hospital. Air conditioning is not only important for the environment and a comfort, but it is one of the very important aspects in the nosocomial infection or hospital-acquired infection. As you know, air conditioning has got three parts. One is comfort zone temperature. Comfort zone temperature is roughly, it is people saying 21 degree to 26 degree, when the young child or the old person would require temperature around 25, 26, and we'll call it a comfort. A younger person having more metabolism, he would require 21 degree temperature as a comfort zone temperature. We being from a tropical country, that is why you find that most of these air conditionings are only cooling type, because the heating type are only in a very small portion which is being used. The second part of is the humidity control. Relative humidity to be controlled 60%, while in a coastal area it is up to 95%, and you find there will be fogging of your equipment if you have 95%, like in coastal area. So the air conditioning, if it cannot cope up, you would require in a coastal region dehumidifiers, so that the humidification can be further reduced. And that is the difference between the desert cooler and air conditioning, where desert cooler is not very comfortable because it gives you more moisture and more humidity. That is why it is always only good into dry climate, and air conditioning would be better into the humid climate. Third part of the air conditioning is the filtration. We have different kind of filters. Is a normal filter what you are supposed to use it, and these are in the central type of AC are in the duct handlings, air handling units. In the window type you find it is just below the grill. Now these are supposed to capture filter all your bacteria, dust particles. Hence it has, these filter must be cleaned every 14th day and to be replaced every 1 year. If you do not clean these filters, what will happen? It will capture the dust, it will also capture the humidity, and ultimately these are the ones which will form colonies of the bacteria, and rather than filtering it, now you are throwing all bacteria inside your environment or inside the hospital facility. So this is one of the important aspects, that the filtration or the filters must be used and should be maintained. The other part is when you have an organ transplant, you can use high efficiency percolate air filter, HEPA, and that is supposed to trap all known pathogenic bacteria but not the viruses. When we are talking of these air conditioning, the other aspect which is really required is recirculation of the air. If you find in your own car, if you recirculate, what will happen? You will bring the temperature down quickly. Because outside temperature may be 41 and you are bringing to 26. But in a critical area like operation theatre, ICU, what you require is 100% fresh air. Because you do not want, by recirculation, increase the bacterial load. In addition, we also have many other things like anesthetic gases, etc. So in operation theatre, what is really required is 100% fresh air to be brought inside. You could other places recirculate up to 40 to 60% of the air, so that your energy bill is reduced. The other one is, you find in your module it is written air changes. Now when you talk of an air changes, you require more air changes where bacterial load is more. So in operation theatre you would require roughly 20 air changes per hour. That means every 3 minutes the complete OT air should go out and fresh air should come, and that would be possible if you have central air conditioning. Window type of air conditioning will not be able to have this particular air changes. Hence people are talking that in operation theatre you must have either central air conditioning, or you should not have an air conditioning. It does not serve any purpose as far as the nosocomial infection is concerned. What it does is only gives you more comfortable zone. So then, now if somebody asks...
Yes, Delhi 2, please come up.
Yes, sir, myself, Dr. Parmar from Rajkot.
Doctor? Yes.
Dr. Parmar from Rajkot.
Okay.
Yes, sir, I have one question.
Yes, please.
What are the elements of progressive patient care?
You see, Dr. Parmar, we will be covering this progressive patient care in the next teleconferencing session because this is pertaining to course 4. Today we are discussing about the course 3.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for going ahead and reading all your other modules also. I think we are very impressed about it. Well, thank you very much. Now, we were talking about the air changes. Now, suppose the engineer tells you, I have put the air changes 20. Now, as a doctor, how will I come to know that there are 20 air changes or not? The Macaulay in the WHO monograph series have brought out a smoke test. They say, put your operation theatre or room with a smoke. And generally in 3 minutes time smoke should disappear. That is, means whole air has gone out. Even if it is up to 4 minutes or so, it is a rough test. There are so many other sophisticated tests available, but this can give you that you have 20 air changes in operation theatre. So what we required, we talked about air conditioning is one of the important aspects for the hospital acquired infection or nosocomial infection. I'd like to bring two things here for the information of the student. You might have heard the name of barrier nursing. Now, barrier nursing is creation of a barrier between one patient to another patient, or between one patient to the staff who is handling it. That means person is supposed to use his all cap, mask, gown, etc., and that is called standard precaution. That person, when is handling some patient who is likely to be infective or infected, the person is using all these precautions so that he or she himself doesn't get infection, as well as this infection is not carried to another patient. This is called creating a barrier. Now, when you have an infected patient, there is something called positive and negative pressure also. When you have infected patient inside the particular air sealed cubicle and you want to treat such and such patient, one is his air should be, outlet should be absolutely separate than the hospital air, because whole hospital air will be otherwise contaminated. Like in UK, there was one patient which has gone with the chicken pox, and they did not have that knowledge, and they treated him, and 42 patients reported in the hospital with chicken pox. So this is one of the important aspects. So you should have negative pressure inside when you want to treat an infected patient. In case you have to treat a patient who is on corticosteroid, cytotoxic drug, you would not like that patient to get infection from a staff or other patient, and there it should be positive pressure, and that is called reverse barrier nursing. Now these are the important aspects vis-a-vis air conditioning and nosocomial infection. These are the words which have been really used in your particular manual here and there. So I thought we should talk about it and inform you about it. Now once you have, this is what the few of the things of the air conditioning we should know. I also would like to tell how to calculate the load of air conditioning. You might have seen in generally people say 1 ton AC, 1.5 ton AC, and 1.5 ton AC is the most importantly AC which is available in the market. The reason is 1 ton AC takes a load of 10 feet by 10 feet by 10 feet. That is, means breadth, length, and the height of the room should be 10 cubic feet, and this is what is 1 ton will take care of. Why 1.5 ton? It is expected then in the room there will be couple of people, you will be opening the door again and again.
Yes, Delhi 2.
Yes, sir, I wanted to ask a question about this negative and positive pressure barrier method. Suppose in an ICU, we may find the both type of patients present, like the immunocompromised as well as patients who are infectious. So what do we do in an ICU setting?
Yeah,
And suppose we find that patients are on ventilators. One patient has, say, a Pseudomonas infection. So what care should be given to the other patient so that the patient does not develop the same infection?
Okay, thank you. Now the modern ICU, and even in Delhi there are a couple of hospitals which have got this kind of ICU which I am talking. You are supposed to have 2 sealed cubicles. One sealed cubicle will have a positive pressure and one sealed cubicle will have a negative pressure inside. Secondly, all the air which will come to these cubicles will go out and fresh air will come in, and it will not mix with the particular hospital air. So this is possible that you can treat both of these patients in both separate cubicles, but you have to provision it right at the planning stage or maybe at the renovation stage. Otherwise, a normal ICU, you should not keep the infected patient. It will definitely affect other patient. So if you have suppose 10-bedded ICU, you can have one of cubicle like this, and other 8 patient can be normal, where normal air conditioning and environment and the pressure is available. So that is feasible. Thank you. Now the second thing which we were talking of the AC is the load. So 1.5 ton load is because that is a commonly AC available in the market, because it is seen that you require the 0.5 ton for heat dissipation factor. We are so many people inside the room, so we all generate heat. The light is there, TV is there, all they generate heat, and to cool it off you require half a ton extra. So 1.5 ton is expected to give you in 10 by 10 by 10 room. So in OPD you require more air conditioning effort if you want to have an effective air conditioning. Maybe in the director's room you don't require that much of effective AC, because there will be director and 2-3 people coming for the meeting, and that is all. To save the energy, you also must have AC either as a separate unit which can be switched off, or whole hospital can be divided into 2 parts requiring AC 8 hour to 10 hour. So those ACs can be switched on, like OPD, director's room, administrative block, and some of the places you require 24 hours AC, like operation theatre, ICU, ward unit, etc. So this is some of the things which you may think of while planning your hospital. The other ACs I am not really talking about. The split AC is now replacing most of these window type of ACs, and the central AC of course becomes an ideal AC for the hospital, but becomes more expensive. If you can't have the central AC, the other option would be the split AC, and the window AC would be in some of the select places like your director's office, etc. That can be thought of. Now when we come to the next place is also intensity of the light. Intensity of the light is, as you might have read in your module, the lux is the intensity of the light. 1 lux is what you see in full moonlight. Full moonlight on a clear day, what you see, that is the 1 lux. Now nowadays there are electricity also. Your bulbs, you can use it as a dimmer, because you find you require more light when you want to do certain procedures. Say take an example of ICU. You want to do cut down, you want to do venesection, you require certain amount of intensity of light. But in the night you would require 5 to 10 lux when person wants to really sleep and have only night light available. Nowadays 1 bulb with like a regulator of the fan, this is called dimmer. You can use intensity of a light and can take it accordingly. In operation, your operation light could be from 40,000 to 80,000 lux. It depends. If it is an older person who require more light, it is if you want to go and operate into deep cavity, it requires more light. So this is what roughly we should know about the light. Light, air conditioning. Now next is the regeneration of whatever electricity you want to have. Now some of the hospitals, they also have incinerator. If you do have such incinerator, you can always conserve your energy by putting the water jacket around the incinerator, because incinerator will get 8,000 to 12,000 centigrade temperature it maintains, because to burn whatever refuse you have inside. You can take complete requirement of your steam of the hospital by putting these water jacket around these incinerator. Such technology is now available, and this is just for your information that we could think of such technologies maintenance. The other part what we have to really think of, we have talked of electricity, we have talked of light, is requirement of the water steam. Now the steam requirement would be for in case you would have CSSD, I am definite, CSSD, laundry, kitchen. Now a lot of emphasis is being given by not only depend on electricity but also take alternate source of, it could be the solar energy. Some of the places even windmill energy is being thought of, because as you are aware that requirement of energy gradually going up and we are not able to cope up this particular requirement of energy. So this have to be really thought of. So these are some of the important things I thought we should know about the hospital department. Now I would also give in next few minutes about the maintenance of all this equipment. When we talk of all this kind of, the maintenance is by itself is a separate chapter. We will not talk into the detail of the maintenance. But what is really required, that assured services, engineering services, and a minimum breakdown, what is really required. You may outsource some of those things. You can also outsource the engineering department. I am not saying they outsource the electricity itself. The maintenance itself, you can have an annual maintenance contract, and there are now the people available who can take care of and outsource the complete maintenance of your particular hospital. But what is really required is that to have best environment, nosocomial concern in the mind, in the comfortable zone. These are the aspects which we have to think of. Thank you.
Yes, so what are the various hazards which you have mentioned about this planning organization of this engineering services in the hospital? But what are the various engineering hazards which can occur in a hospital, and can any preventive measure can be taken to?
Thank you. It is one of the major hazard is the fire. One of the very common hazard which has been noted. In fact, there was in the press couple of months back, there was some fire breaking into the All India Institute also. The timely action was really taken. And this happened, there is a study which has been done. It had done that you overload the circuit. This is that particular line is not supposed to take, but you insert the higher capacity of your equipment, and then there is always short circuit, sparking, heat, and subsequently the fire can catch on. This is one part. Number of equipment using in one outlet. The wiring has not been checked or changed, because that is also supposed to be done. Everything has got life after all. Here I like to tell you one thing, that if you recollect a couple of years back, in air conditioning also, the ducts also needs to be checked time to time. There was a present director who is a cardiothoracic. He came inside the OT and he said very bad smell coming. And when he said I will not operate, and to the horror of people, they found that one monkey has gone in a corroded AC tube and he died. And subsequently all this air was coming into the, you can imagine, into cardiothoracic operation theatre. So one of the hazards that all these things in the life which we are talking of civilization needs a constant monitoring and also the maintenance. The fire is one, air conditioning, filter, etc. Otherwise nosocomial infection will be there. The corrosion of all types of tube, may it be water, air conditioner, etc. have to be thought of. Otherwise sometimes there are even a burst, etc. The other part is also, as far as engineering concerned, is the earthquake. The fire could be inside the hospital, and that could be the worst thing which can happen, because there are inflammables, there are oxygen, and it is one of the things which there are a couple of hospitals in India we are aware of, which have went into ashes because no timely action were taken and things were not there. Other thing is, most importantly, is earthquake resistance. In fact, a lot of things have been talked National Disaster Management Authority has recently given a guideline, and they have said that all hospital and schools in a seismic zone, incidentally Delhi is a seismic zone 4, must have retrograde fittings and reinforcement so that in earthquake the hospital don't collapse. And that's what happened in earthquake in Bhuj. The district hospital was totally raised to the ground. So rather than you giving service to the people, you yourself are at the receiving end. So these are some of these engineering aspects which people are thinking today should have happened much earlier. In fact, Bureau of Indian Standards also have laid out something, and now the earthquake guideline issued by National Disaster Management Authority, duly approved by the Prime Minister, has already gone to the various ministries, also to the other the state government, and they have said all the hospitals and schools should be the first one to get reinforcement, and time bound schedule has been worked out. First such building would be ready in Delhi itself. They are in fact going for Rashtrapati Bhavan and all other parliament, etc., all these, because they are not yet protected against the earthquake. And hospital becomes very important social building which need to be done. So this is some of the things which are one of the very other thing is which has really come is the flood in the thing. So the flooding has been done, especially in the basement and the hospital. So accordingly certain planning has to be done for such things also. Thank you.
And can you tell our learners something about the hospital engineering departments, whether who all has to be there and what is their role in preventing all these hazards?
Thank you.
You mentioned something about that outsourcing can be done for the engineering services, but if one has to establish an engineering department in the hospital, so what, how they can go?
Thank you. Now the hospital engineering department, in fact, there was a very good article, one of the WHO series, in which says the hospital planning in the developing country, and a PGI Chandigarh is the one which has given as a model case. The book is, I think, published 20 odd years. I have read that. Something.
Burma committee.
Yes. So they have talked about it. So this is one of the ideal things if it can happen, but probably these days is one of the things which would be very expensive proposition, that every hospital, except in teaching hospital or a bigger hospital, this may not be feasible. Probably in district hospital, which we are talking about, and tertiary care hospital, it may be, every tertiary care hospital may not be possible. Yes, teaching hospital, you should have engineering department. It would have all aspect of that, the civil engineering, electrical, mechanical, air conditioning, and they have recommended it would require in a teaching hospital roughly 32 odd people of different kind, and round the clock shift arrangement have to be done with the other small people. But yet some of the small parties like plumbers, electrician, air refrigerator mechanism would still require to be maintained, to be employed. But if you still want to cut down, there are reliable people available in the market, and probably you could outsource your services for its maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Dr. Agarwal, would you like to add something?
I think it has been very comprehensively dealt with by Admiral V.K. Singh. Everything has been covered, but yes, I can give my own experiences while working in Safdarjung Hospital. I would like to mention here that the hospital had two full-fledged divisions of the CPWD. One the civil division and the electrical division, and the civil division used to take responsibility for all the civil repairs, maintenance of the building, because I remember the incidents when I was working in that hospital as assistant medical superintendent. One of the roof of the dispensary, where the dispensary was housed, collapsed. And it was raining during those days, monsoon period, and fortunately it was the night. So the hazards which you mentioned, one of the hazard is that the building maintenance is also very crucial, because especially the government hospitals are quite old buildings, dilapidated buildings. So we have to see that engineering check, the structural engineering checks should be carried out in such buildings, that those which have outlived the life, they should be either demolished or they should be reinforced. So that is one thing from my own experience. Plus, as you asked about the engineering department in the hospital, which Admiral V.K. Singh has very well answered, is that in large hospitals, tertiary care hospitals, we must have a engineering department which should be manned by qualified engineers, and electronic engineers are also necessary, because these days we have most of the equipments in the hospital, especially in high-tech areas, OT and ICU are the high-tech equipments, and that's where we need the electronics engineer, besides of course the annual maintenance contract, comprehensive maintenance and warranty and guarantee. So even I think coming down to a district hospital also, we should have, if not an engineering department, a small workshop which is headed by a qualified technician, and these technicians should be able to take care of the routine maintenance and repair of, say, common equipments, BP instruments, suction apparatus, some other equipments which are commonly used, the boilers, the laundry equipment, the autoclaving equipment. There are so many things which go haywire. Many times the equipments are not under warranty and not under annual maintenance contract. In such exigencies, we should have a regular teaching training program of these technicians who are multi-purpose workers to look after the electronic as well as electrical and these kind of problems.
Okay, few last words from Das before we wind up the session.
Yes, you have a question. She has a question from the audience.
Sanghamitra, so you mentioned about the HEPA filters. You said they don't take care about the viruses which are there. Is there any other kind of a system which can take care of the viruses also?
Thank you.
Or the size of the filters which are there in HEPA?
Now, in fact, there's a very good question. It is one thing which is being debated today. The known filters what is being used into the hospital, none of the filter really traps your viruses. HEPA only traps all known bacteria. But there are laboratories now which are coming up. There are safety laboratories. Now you might be aware that avian flu which knocked the door of our country. There is one laboratory in the Bhopal, it has got a maximum safety zone 4, where even viruses will not go out and viruses can be trapped. But that is very expensive. Neither hospital requires it. That is because all the specimens have to come there for testing. So the virus have to be detected and they have to be thought of. There was only one such laboratory. You have to go inside the laboratory. It's totally air sealed. You change your clothes, you wash yourself and put on something like space suit, work there, remove the space suit, wash again, change your clothes and go out. That kind of a safety zone is there because you are handling the viruses. And the another thing which is coming up is the National Institute of Virology, Pune. They are the second lab which will have that. CDC Atlanta has organized these up to safety 4, safety 5. We propose to have safety 4. Incidentally, Bhopal lab is the veterinary lab. It's not a human lab. And virology lab will be human lab. So that will be the first time in the country we are going to have such labs. So it is one of the expensive, because virology lab, which in Pune they want to upgrade it, it will require around 7 odd crore rupees. So you won't require for the hospital purpose.
Yes, Dr. Das.
Well, thank you, Professor Arora. And well, the things are been taken up very comprehensively and very extensively. Only few practical, observations I would like to add here. Like my teacher, Professor Agarwal, is already here, and he always used to mention that preventive maintenance or prevention is definitely better than cure. And in your engineering service also, this plays a very, very important role. And all my learned speakers, they have definitely emphasized upon this thing. Well, from my own experience I can tell you, yes, like All India Institute of Medical Science or PGI, they can have their own engineering department, and definitely those departments are, I mean, playing some crucial role. And some of the very big private hospitals, corporate hospitals, they are having qualified biomedical engineer on their payroll, and they are looking after these aspects. But definitely the smaller hospitals, district level hospital and below, they definitely cannot, I mean, afford to do these things. But these hospitals or these engineering aspects like civil, electrical and public health engineering, they are being looked after by the public works department. So as a hospital administrator, what you can do is this, I mean, coordinate among them, take regular meetings with them, and meetings will not do, rather, I mean, take a round in every fortnight, if not every week. And that is exactly how I used to do it. I used to take them, go down to the hospital. If whole of the hospital is not possible, I mean, make a schedule kind of thing, and regularly you are covering up those areas and see to it what are the problems. You will find sometimes there are very small petty problems are there. I mean, the lights are not working, the fans are not properly cleaned whole of the winter, and suddenly the summer is there and you started the fans. You will find a kind of a storm of those dust and accumulated, I mean, dirt, I mean, flowing all over the places. The oiling of the equipments, particularly the machinery equipments. So this kind of things. Then for the public health engineering, that is the leaking tap, in the overflowing of the tanks. So this kind of things definitely can be taken care of, and it does definitely go a long way if you are taking that preventive measures well in time. So this is how you can take care of these things and do at your own level, and this will definitely not cost you much. You are only reinforcing whatsoever the resources available with you to achieve that objective. Thank you.
Okay, on that note, prevention is better than cure. Then on that note, we'll close down this particular session, and I will the next teleconference, as you know, is on the 17th of June from 11 to 2:30. Before we close down this session, I would like to thank Professor A.K. Agarwal, Dr. V.K. Singh and Professor J.K. Das for being with us in this afternoon and giving very useful inputs to our students. I think you must have been benefited by the amount of knowledge which has been imparted to you by our experts, and we hope that in future also we'll keep on getting the cooperation from the students also, that we have received very few questions. What my request is that the teleconferencing session, basically we are organizing for interactive purposes. So if you have got any questions, maybe if you are not able to ask during this teleconferencing session, you have got my email, you have got phone number, you can send your questions well in advance also. And let me tell you, in the next teleconferencing, we are going to cover course 4, that is some of the hospital areas. And if you want to cover some other topics, let us know before, and so that we can organize those sessions well in advance. So with these words, and thanking to all the production team, we come to the end of this session, and we'll meet you on 17th of June at 11.
Thank you.
Very good.